next chapter. So the facing challenges. The main thing is the first topic is removing obstacles. So who would like to read? In the meantime, can Prabhu please post in the group that we started? Oh, I was speaking on mute. No, I was saying, please, someone, please start reading. You're already late by 10 minutes.
This page. This page.
Okay, let me start reading. I think everybody is waiting for others. Removing obstacles. In the morning after the signing of the conveyance, Prabhupada was already proposing beginning construction. But for that, he said we needed 1 crore of rupees. We are sitting with Dr. Patel, ventured, you should bring the money from America. Now this Dr. Patel is a person, actually he's someone who is local. He's actually, Gujarati in Mumbai. He had quite a few conversations with Prabhupada. The morning walk conversations with Prabhupada will be really very intriguing and very interesting, very entertaining. In fact, Prabhupada will use him to address a lot of his lot of the philosophical things and so many other things he would talk, and he would be really animated he will be really animated to when we are talking with Dr. Patel. It's really worth listening to them. Actually, it would look like some two friends are in fact arguing or fighting, but then Prabhupada utilized Dr. Patel's. Patel would not be, he's a very enthusiastic person, but in that enthusiasm, sometimes he would cross the line as to how to deal with the spiritual master. And he is, though he had not at that point accepted Prabhupada as a spiritual master and all, he was not like following like a disciple, but he was very, very, I would say, appreciative of Prabhupada's growing this movement from grassroots into an international movement. For that part and all, he very much thing. But as it is, sometimes the Indian congregation thing that will come sometimes that they would suggest something to the spiritual master without knowing what their farsightedness is. You will realize, you will see some of these things Maharaj is sharing here. Actually, I used to listen to these conversations very intently long ago. I would really look for the morning walks and especially the ones in Mumbai, Juhu, Mumbai. Those ones I would very eagerly hear where Prabhupada is literally fighting and smashing the arguments of Patel and a few others also who comes, but predominantly it is Dr. Patel. So the thing is, later, after Prabhupada's departure, later, many years after that, he was there in one of the memorials in Mumbai. So he was very much regretful of his impudence, not treating Prabhupada as a great personality, great acharya, but someone on the lower level, and he had written a very nice article also in BTG much later. I'm looking for the copy of that article somewhere if it is available. Maybe, I don't know, Piyush Prabhu is not here usually. Oh, he's here. maybe if we can find out that article by Dr. Patel about Prabhupada in the BTG after Prabhupada's departure. Somewhere you should get it. If that is a good one to publish even in our group. So we can see how Prabhupada, by dealing with him in a certain way, he really brought the thing to him that he really regretted not having taken, regretted for having taken Prabhupada lately. So just wanted to give that background because that conversation here will be like little very kind of little bit heated. See, we were sitting with Dr. Patel who ventured. Yes, Prabhu. Sorry, Prabhu.
I will read it.
Oh, you want to read? Okay, Prabhu. Please continue.
We were sitting with Dr. Patel, who ventured, you should bring the money from America. Prabhupada was disturbed by the suggestion. I could bring the money from America, he replied. But then, what will be your credit?
So you people sit here, call yourself as Bharata Bhumile, Bhumite Mayahaila Manushayar and all that, and you don't want to struggle one bit. Just money will come from America, we will build the temple. What is your credit? That's where that's the message we have to really, this is a message he puts it across to everybody. We just claim ourselves we are Vedic people, this, that, and all. But if you are not really working hard, honestly speaking, I would say one thing that the Westerners or those who are outside India, not just Westerners, anyone from outside India, they should be given more credit than Indians for this movement because
Yes.
they took Prabhupada seriously when all Indians took him lightly. Very few
right.
Indians. And in fact, if Prabhupada had stayed back in India, I don't think the movement would have even reached half of the success that it has reached now. And I don't think the amount of documentation that has done, clear-cut documentation without any hiding here, hiding there, and all. I don't think that would have happened if he was left with in India. How much in such wonderful lectures he would have given, but we would have lost. Really, that is something which even as my Guru Maharaj is not here anymore, our Guru Maharaj is not here anymore. I somehow feel that in large parts we were also guilty of that. We recorded quite a few of his lectures, but then the audio quality, the carrying that somebody responsible for it and having a ministry, those things were all like not done so seriously, and we regret missing so many wonderful, wonderful, amazing talks of my Guru Maharaj also. Once Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada told, I don't think his voice is recorded. Maybe, I don't know, rarely somebody would have recorded. But he told when he was speaking, just realizations are flowing continuously. And then he was telling the brahmacharis who were sitting in the class that, see, write it down, catch Krishna, write it down. Krishna is in this realization. You write it down and catch him into your writing by writing him down. So that much he was very serious about taking notes and recording spiritual masters' Vani. Now at least some of those recordings, recording in the sense in the book form, it is there. Very wonderful teachings of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So luckily, we had so many of these devotees carrying that dictaphone everywhere, or the microphone, the tape recorder everywhere those days. In fact, those lectures are even more clear than the ones which we get nowadays. Really, how much struggle they must have gone through transcribing everything, so easily available for us. So, frankly speaking, this is something, a mindset that we should come out of. As Indians, at least, we should not be like, hey, you guys don't know, we are the custodians of Vedic culture and all these things. And frankly speaking, they are doing much better service than us in following Vedic culture. Definitely that's one thing which we should appreciate. Please continue, Prabhu.
He said that Bombay was such a place that if people were willing, we could collect a crore in a day.
See, that's why Prabhupada is telling you guys should give crore rupees in a day. Now he is relenting. Patel is relenting.
True, but people are not willing, Dr. Patel insisted. Of course, I don't want to discourage you, but But you are discouraging me.
Prabhupada say, but you are discouraging me. He's so forthright, you know. This is the beauty with this the conversation between Patel and Prabhupada. Prabhupada will not mince any words. You will directly smash him. And Patel, to the credit of Patel, he will not um, feel upset or disturbed about it and not come and meet Prabhupada the next day. He will come. He will get the beatings from Prabhupada and still he will come. So Prabhupada was slowly moving that the real big that rock, you know, Kadapa rock. Yes, Prabhu, please continue.
Mm. Then Dr. Patel asked which way the deities would face, and Prabhupada said that they would face as they currently were. No, sir, Dr. Patel responded. I don't agree. According to scriptures, that it is not the right direction. According to scripture, the murti should be face east. So Prabhupada knew that given the shape of the land available for the construction, the deities could not face in that direction towards the tenement buildings at the back. It just wasn't practical. Our God is everywhere, he explained. Itto Narsimha, Parato Narsimha, Yato Yato Yami, Tato Narsimha. Lord Narsimha is here and also there. Wherever I go, Lord Narsimha is there. We were going to have the deities face the direction most convenient and favorable for our purpose, for preaching.
Rakesh Prabhu, I was just remembering you when I read this through just some time ago. Just came back from Ahobilam.
Yes, Prabhu. It was a great trip.
So Prabhupada, for when they talked about Ahobilam also, Prabhupada gave a very similar thing. It's not that Narasimha is only here, Narasimha is only there. He's everywhere. Ito Narasimha, yato yato yami tato Narasimha. Wherever you see, you can see Narasimha. So same case with Krishna. So lot of things Prabhupada made is practical, you know, especially in Kali Yuga. There is no point digging so much this way, that way. So many rituals and all those other silly things we should not come up with. That will really spoil the real essence of the Sankirtan movement. Yes, Prabhu has stepped out. I will read further from here. As the Acharya and the empowered representative of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the disciplic succession, Prabhupada could understand what Krishna wanted and what was more important and less important. He was concerned not with minor details but with overriding principles. That is more important. You can just put the face, deity face east, but you don't do any seva for him. What's the point? Deity will go away. Deity agrees to stay in the deity. The Lord agrees to stay in the deity form only till we serve him nicely, serve him lovingly. The day we don't have any connection with him, he will leave. There is no pran pratishtha. So that is what we have to learn. As the although the conveyance had been executed, other encumbrances remained. Mr. Nair had been engaged in rancorous disputes with many parties, one of whom still had a claim on the land, and there were still people living there. Prabhupada had to settle up with all the different parties, and he conducted the negotiations himself. So the problems are not yet over. Within that land, this guy had given some small space to somebody, another space to somebody, and those guys say, we can't move just because you have sold the land. So they're very interesting section has to come now. A very beautiful section. Who wants to read? Who is very enthused to read about this particular section can read.
Can I read, Prabhu?
Prabhu, want to read, Prabhu?
Yeah.
Please go ahead, Prabhu.
One of those whom Nair had cheated, Mr. Ratnaparki, owned a two-story cottage on the front south corner of the property.
So this is a person. So he is another person who is staying within the previous staying there in the front within the complex, the compound, that area only. Yes, Prabhuji.
Which was occupied by his sister, her husband, and their two children. His grandmother had made an arrangement with Nair to sell him this structure. and the land attached to it, and Nair had agreed to pay for the land and the cottage, plus build the family another house in Jufu. But when he paid the money and the land was transferred to his name, he never built the other house, and so the family never vacated the premises. Mr. Ratnaparki himself lived in a two-room shack nearby with a small garden overgrown by weeds. He was quite a character, a powerful bodybuilder who could be aggressive, even violent, and he spoke in a loud, rough voice. He was charitable but also quite proud. He would donate blood and always got the award for donating the most. With each award, his picture would be published in the newspaper and he would display the clippings in his home. The cottage and the land was located right where we were going to build the temple, and Ratnaparki knew it. We are not leaving, he told, and I am not going to let you get any of your plans passed unless you make arrangements for my family members to live somewhere. I had written to Prabhupada previously when Mr. Nair had still been alive. The plans we submitted to the municipality cannot be accepted immediately as they are, because Mr. Ratnaparki, who lives the street, claims that the front south corner of Nairwadi belongs to him and his relatives are living in that house. And he submitted a letter to the municipality that our proposed buildings will be too close. Nair says that we can have the police evict the tenants. But he has been trying to evict them for 4 years and still has not succeeded. Our friend Vijay says that even if we establish that the land does not belong to them, we still have to either find suitable alternative accommodations or pay them enough that they agree to leave. And Mr. Divanji and all others agree. So Mrs. Morarji says we should pay whatever necessary to get them out. We invited Mr. Ratnaparki to come speak with Prabhupada to settle the problem, but he refused. No, he said, I want him to come to my house. He can come, we replied. There is no difficulty, but it would be better if you came to see him. No, he objected. Guru Maharaja must come here. And not only did he require that Srila Prabhupada come to him, but he insisted that His Divine Grace first make an appointment. If he has to talk to me about the land, Mr. Ratnaparki said he must come to my place. You see, if he does not come to my place, it is not that I will hate him, but I will not talk anything about the land or land price or land dealings unless Prabhupada comes to my place, that too with appointment. When we told Prabhupada what Mr. Ratnaparki had said, he said, yes, I will go, and we arranged the visit.
See how much Prabhupada had to come down, huh? These kind of crazy people around. Yeah.
Mr. Ratnaparki's shanty was cramped, barely a shed with hardly any furniture, just a bed and a couple of broken down chairs with two big clubs hanging on the wall for him to lift as weights. But he arranged chairs and cleaned the floor, and he was happy that a great saint was coming to visit. He was in the mood of ignorance under the influence of Tamoguna, but he was also a sort of devotee or Hindu attracted to serving Prabhupada and his followers. It was a strange combination. Many of them are like that, Prabhupada. This man was a bit unusual. Tamal Krishna later remembered. He had a little daughter who was about 5, and the first thing he said was, my mother recently died 5 years ago, and my daughter is my mother incarnated. So we could tell that there was something unusual about the man. Prabhupada sat in one of the chairs and said, I came here to talk to you about vacating the property. How much do you want? Mr. Ratnaparki started talking about how costly housing was in Bombay and how he had to get a place for his family members. He kept going on and on, but no matter how many times Prabhupada asked how much he wanted, he wouldn't say. How much will you give? He asked. How much do you want? Prabhupada counted. No, how much will you give? And again Prabhupada repeated, no, how much do you want? The situation got pretty tense. Mr. Ratnaparki was upset. Perhaps he thought Prabhupada was being too blunt. He became angry with Prabhupada, almost offensive, raising his voice. The rest of us were watching anxiously. The man was volatile and dangerous. There was no telling what he would do, and we were afraid he might become violent. But Prabhupada did not flinch. I'm leaving, he declared and stood up to walk out. Mr. Ratnaparki leaped up and we were about to spring forward, but it was only to get Prabhupada to stay. No, Swamiji, he pleaded, you cannot leave like this. These people are like this. No, Prabhupada said, I am leaving. You tell me right now how much you want or I am leaving. Okay, Ratnaparki accepted. Please sit down, don't leave. I came here to discuss how we will vacate the house. Prabhupada insisted. I just want to know how much you want to get out. Tell me your price. I want you out of the house. I don't know whether we have that much guts, bro, these days.
Yeah. These people can be so unruly, sometimes.
Yeah,
but Prabhupada is like he always used to say, I am a Calcutta man. Like you don't play around with me.
I mean, recently Mukunda the Prabhu was in Vellore. I was there, and he was telling that you should have the, language of Bengali and brain of Englishman. Something he was saying like that. The reverse is not good. That is what he was explaining about our Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Swami. He was on that Vyasa Puja day. Okay. So he was so heavy, Tamal Krishna recalled, that the man just looked at him and said, 30,000. It was an outrageous amount, way more than the cottage and the land were worth. But Prabhupada replied without hesitation, all right, accepted. We will give you 30,000 and you get out of here. You make the papers and I will sign. Then he stood up, took his cane and walked out. On the way back to Kiran Kutir, Prabhupada commented, whenever I really wanted something, I always got it. I didn't care how much I had to spend, but I always got what I wanted. If you want something bad enough, you can pay any price for it. That house is not worth anything, but he has to get out.
See Prabhupada, how he is. That's why, we have to really enjoy these things every word by word. It is such a nice thing, You see how he's saying, if you want something bad enough, you can pay any price for it. And Prabhupada paid the price of traveling all the way from India to the US, all over the world. He wanted badly to give Hare Krishna mantra to everybody. Wanted to give Krishna to everybody.
Yeah, he displayed this previously also. During his childhood, he wanted 2 toys for 2 hands. And to Sumati Maharaj, he was saying, anyways, I have to go. Swamiji, you will die. No issues. I have to go.
Yeah. So it just shows Prabhupada's character, It's not that in devotional service, more I see, the more I can understand that, unless and until you are really, really dead, so badly you want it, unless and until you badly want something, you will not get it. Krishna will not give so easily.
I hope this applies to material things also, bro. Actually,
everything.
We do that actually. For material things, we do that. But for devotion, we say we did whatever we can do best, Prabhu, and we will depend on Krishna.
And we always assume that we are given our best,
Yeah.
Especially in the spiritual side.
And Prabhupada actually, for outsiders, seems to be adamant, but for us, his convention actually is.
He, unless and until he was so deadly adamant, we would not have come up to this point, It is because of that his adamant thing. Adamantly, he wanted to give Krishna to everybody. Even if you don't want it, like how a mother would give the most bitter medicine to the child, even if it is crying, kicking its legs and hands and all that, still she would give, So it's like that Prabhupada badly wanted to treat us, even though we didn't want to be treated for our material diseases. It's amazing. That's why I really enjoyed this particular section very much. One of the sections I really enjoyed because that he somehow, that guy really wanted to, really didn't want to come onto the same table and speak. But then Prabhupada expedited everything and said, no, I don't care what this man is thinking. I just want him to be out.
Yeah,
And see,
he looks to be a bodybuilder also, right, bro?
sorry?
He looks like a bodybuilder also, right?
Yeah, you could have just suddenly beaten anybody with these Indians, this thing, people, Bombay people, we don't know, especially those who are, they are very tough to handle, really. Anyway, some more wonderful things will come. It's going to get even more exciting.
Okay, can we continue?
Yeah, maybe you can continue. You can continue and finish this incident.
Okay, then there was a lot of going back and forth. Tamal would run from the Ratnapaki house to the Chand society office and tell me what to type. Harikesha recalled. And then I had to type up the agreement. And then he would run back with the agreement. And then Mr. Ratnapaki would reject it and want another thing. And then Tamal would have to come back and I would have to type up another agreement.
How much all these great personalities, they had to struggle hard with this tiny people, They didn't want to feel like, my man, for Krishna consciousness, I have to struggle with these kind of crazy buggers. They didn't think like that. They said, whatever has to be done to please Prabhupada and to serve Prabhupada's mission, we'll be ready to. This person, what did he do? Like small cottage he has, and he's simply wanting Prabhupada to come. You make an appointment. You doesn't even understand Prabhupada is such a great acharya. But Prabhupada didn't care for all those things. This is something which is really mind-boggling, because nowadays when you have sadhus, they will have 4 levels. You have to go. You have to tell them that through those appointed secretaries that I want to see you this, that, etc., etc. But Prabhupada didn't mind. He just straight away he wanted to go. So let's continue further, Prabhu. There's a nice piece coming up.
Yeah, Mr. Ratnapaki's final condition out of sentiment for his mother and as a matter of pride was that Prabhupada should carry a large photograph of his mother from the cottage to the family's new housing, accompanied by Kirtan and bhajans.
What and all condition? But see, Prabhupada will agree to that also.
So later that day we had Kirtan and bhajans in the cottage for 10 or 15 minutes, and then Prabhupada handed the photo to Tamal Kṛṣṇa, and Tamal Kṛṣṇa followed by 50 or 60 devotees and local people led a procession through Juhu to the new place. The idea was that all people should know that we have come honorably, Mr. Ratnaparki later said.
He seems to be having an interesting point of view, but that doesn't mean that you can use Prabhupada like your some relative or somebody, some friend or somebody. Anyway, but this point is a valid point also. Maybe, I don't know if he is saying genuinely or just to make up for his offenses, but something which we can understand. Yes, please continue, Guru.
Yeah, later said, not that we have been thrown.
Prabhu, scroll up, please.
Scroll up. Yeah, thrown out. That people should not think, oh, the Hare Krishna people have thrown them out. No, we have left with honor. We have come out with honor. And when people saw Prabhupada and Tamal Kṛṣṇa carrying the photograph, they were all impressed. It was crucial to Mr. Ratnaparki that he be able to maintain his dignity, his pride. And Prabhupada was willing to do the needful to achieve his goals. He accomplished things quickly, and this was no exception. Mr. Ratnaparki had been disputing with Nair for years, but within a matter of hours, all the papers were signed, the formalities were completed, and Mr. Ratnaparki's people had moved out.
This is the next section. Before that, just see this incident. If you just meditate a little bit on it, in devotional service, especially in preaching, in mission, so many hardships we have to face. We have to face crazy people like this. So many people. Day in and day out. When you go for preaching, you will find all these kind of people, If you're alone at home reading Bhagavatam, chanting, no disturbance, nothing. And do some puja, whatever. But when you go out and deal with people, that's when the real challenge starts. Like last weekend, I think Monday, I think we had a program in Pina. Evening we had a program, and at one of our devotees' home, and some people had come. We were doing Bhagavatam installations. I was talking about Bhagavatam. And they were all quiet, but one point I was just talking about the importance of Brahmanas and Jamindar, that one Mataji, she started telling so many things for 5-10 minutes about her family side, Jamindar and all that. And I had to really cool her down, Mataji, we are not going into your family, we are talking about Bhagavatam, so please continue reading Bhagavatam. So everybody comes to talk about themselves, to give their importance and prominence they want. Here is the thing about pure bhakti, At the best, we may be doing some mixed bhakti or some Mayavad, that's all. I don't think, unless and until we really catch hold of Prabhupada's dhoti tightly, I don't think it's going to dawn anywhere for us to do real bhakti, pure devotion service. So anyone else would like to start from here? It's going to be another beautiful section. It's a very interesting section now. Going to come up. Who want to read?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, I can try.
Sure, Prabhu, you're at home.
Yes, Prabhuji, just now.
Thank you.
From where we have to read?
We, the devotees.
Okay, Prabhuji. We, the devotees, had only our chatai hut to live in. So Prabhupada said that we should move into Mr. Ratna Parkhi's cottage. Not only because we needed space, but also because he wanted to secure possession. We should clean it up and move in immediately. It was such a rotten, dirty, old place, however, that nobody wanted to live there. Just a second, Prabhuji, I am closing the door. There is a lot of noise. The next day, Prabhupada asked, have the devotees moved in? We hadn't. And again, the following morning, he asked, have our devotees moved in? And again, we hadn't. Then he announced, at 12 o'clock, I am moving in. So have it ready. I want to live on our own land. What? We exclaimed aghast. Prabhupada was going to come and live in Ratna Parkhi's sack. Oh no. And of course, we all got right to work and started cleaning up. By noon, everything was in the best shape it could be. And Prabhupada said, all right, now you move in.
You understand Prabhupada's care and affection for the devotees, because they were living in some makeshift tents, and they were doing all the austerities somehow or other to somehow serve Radha Rasbihari and serve Prabhupada. But Prabhupada was so kind and caring that he wanted them to be there, and they were not doing it for themselves. So Prabhupada had to say, I will come and move. I want to move in. And then once they did everything, said, okay, you are moving. So watch how much of a loving and caring spiritual father he is. That's why, it's not just simply by philosophy that the spiritual masters conquer the disciples or followers. They conquer through their love, I am always reminded of, whenever I read these kind of incidents about Prabhupada being very loving and caring to his disciples. It always helplessly, I keep remembering about my Guru Maharaj also, how he used to always say one thing, that I am not your spiritual master, I am a spiritual father. So first I am your spiritual father, then maybe you can see I am, I consider me as a spiritual master. And he would always say, son doesn't need an appointment to come and meet his father, right, son? So come in anytime. There is no point, no need for asking for any appointments or anything like that. You just call me anytime. If the father cannot help the son in the time of need, who else will help? So he would always say that way. And and even when we are in doing some austerities or anything, he would always say one thing, that he would always say that when we are going to him, that he will care how did you have prasadam, did you wear the journey was all right, and all kinds of questions he will ask. So it's very important to understand this particular part. There is a very beautiful letter that Jonas Mahavishnu Maharaj, my Guru Maharaj, wrote to one of his senior disciples, Her Grace Radhika Mataji, wife of Devakinandan Prabhu. That letter is such a wonderful letter, and we in that just a small 2-3 paragraphs he concisely and completely in nutshell he gives what is the role of a spiritual master. And he would often say that this letter you should all read again and again, and even the GBCs should also read this letter so that they will understand what exactly Prabhupada wanted us to do as spiritual leaders or spiritual masters or gurus or whatever, whichever gurus we may be, Siksha, Diksha, whatever. That is something which is really amazing. But I don't think we have enough time to read that. Another time, maybe we'll read that out, and we'll continue to read this part now. So, who was reading?
Myself, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Please continue, Prabhu.
The next day, Prabhupada left Juhu for Vrindavan and Delhi, where he spoke about the value of endeavoring to build a temple. In England, the castles are there, very old castles, 1,000 years, 2,000, even this Westminster Abbey and Palace. But which king has lived there permanently? And now if the king has, by his work, become something else, not necessarily he will become a king in that house. He may become a dog there. This science they do not know. And they are proud of their education culture. Suppose you have constructed this Vrindavan temple or Bombay temple, it is also certain that we shall not live. But our attempt to construct the temple will be.
Prabhu, who is doing that? Can you please be proactive and moving it, Prabhu?
Recorded by Krishna, because he has spent his energy for my service. That will be our gain. That will not go in vain.
Very nice point, huh? So can you go up and read that statement from the beginning, Prabhu, recorded by Krishna? Suppose you have constructed this Vrindavan temple or Bombay temple. It's also certain that we shall not live. But our attempt to construct the temple will be recorded by Krishna. And it is very interesting. Prabhupada built a Bombay temple, but before its inauguration was completed, he left permanently, right? So, but then that service is recorded by Krishna. That's why even now he is glorified for this wonderful monumental work that he did. Yes, please continue, Prabhu.
Because he has spent his energy for my service, that will be our gain. That will not go in vain. 2 months later, in Los Angeles, he spoke about his settling with Ratna Parki. This Ratna Parki first of all proposed 20,000 to sell that house. Then when I went there, he knew that I was settling at any cost. He said that 20,000 was proposed formally. Now things have gone very high. I cannot sell. So he knew that we were eager to purchase. Then I said, then what do you want to do? Now I want 30,000. All right, yes, take it. I did not argue. In this way, I settled up. And our Giriraj's father appreciated that it is better a bad settlement than prolong the case. So I took this policy.
So Prabhupada is actually referring to Giriraj Maharaj's father, who is a big businessman, who is a very successful businessman. So many such things he would have dealt with. And so anybody would have just simply criticized, oh, Prabhupada gave more, Prabhupada gave more. But certain things, you should not look at money so much. More important is the time. If you keep on dragging on with him like, no, 20, no, 21, 22, like that, it's not going to work, So Prabhupada is such a successful, himself was a businessman in his Grahastha life, and he was doing very well. If not for that fire accident, he would have thrived in that also. It was not his creation, Krishna's arrangement to bring Prabhupada, take Prabhupada from that service to a bigger service. Yes, Prabhu, please continue.
At Sivnar, I had been suffering from jaundice. With care and patience, I had been able to overcome my condition. But within 2 weeks after Prabhupada had shifted from Bhogilal Patel's mansion to Mr. Sethi's place in the Juhu scheme, I would had a relapse, and no matter what I did, I had not been able to recover. Eventually, Prabhupada had said that I would not get better as long as I stayed in Bombay. So I had gone about getting the required stamps in my passport to leave the country, and still quite ill, undertaken the flight from Bombay to Chicago. My parents had received me at the airport and taken me to their home, where I had lived from the age of 8 until I would left for college. I had left for college. A day or two after I arrived, an old family friend who was a psychologist paid us a visit. She came in my room and inquired, "Tell me, Glenn, did you feel that your parents didn't love you?" "Which parents?" I asked.
It's like that Chitraketu's son asking him, you know.
I have passed so many lifetimes, and in every lifetime I have had different parents. Whatever questions she asked, I answered with Krishna conscious philosophy. After some time, she left my room and I could overheard her speaking with my parents. "I am sorry," she told them. "I did whatever I could, but I don't think I can help him." My parents, I suddenly realized, had sent her to cure me.
Cure me
I began
means deprogramming. Deprogramming. You understand what is deprogramming?
Get back to material life, sir.
Yeah, they brainwash him. The brain brainwash him already. They're brainwashed into Krishna consciousness, but the brain dirty him to make them back to material things. Yes, Prabhu, please continue.
I began to feel uncomfortable at home. So I went to Chicago Temple in Evanston and then to Los Angeles to recuperate at the temple there. Prabhupada arrived from India soon thereafter on November 30th. When he asked about my health and my stay in Chicago, I told him how the psychologist had come to cure me. "You have been infected permanently," he said. "You can never be cured."
Infected with Krishna consciousness permanently.
As I became well enough, I began to accompany Prabhupada on his morning walks. On one, I asked, "We say that Krishna is the original cause of all causes. But some people question, then who is the cause of Krishna? How do we answer them?" "According to our information, Krishna is the first cause," Prabhupada replied. "If you do research and find someone who is the cause of Krishna, we will worship him. But until then, you should worship Krishna."
Chandrapati Prabhu, the way you read it is also very interesting. Prabhupada's argument is so amazing. If you want to do research, go and do research. Until that time, why we should bother? You should worship Krishna until then, because I am telling the truth. You are not accepting, and you are not able to defy my rule. Okay, please continue, Prabhu.
In his talks in Los Angeles, Prabhupada often smashed mundane, godless scientists, and he inspired his devotee scientists Swarup Damodar Das, Dr. Thodam Singh, an organic chemist, to form the Bhaktivedanta Institute to preach the principles of the Bhagavad Gita in scientific language and establish Krishna as the origin of everything, both matter and spirit. I also became inspired by the idea of scientific preaching, and although I was not qualified like Swarup Damodar, I wanted to participate. One day, I approached Prabhupada in his room during his massage and told him that I was interested in joining in the scientific preaching. He simply smiled and said, "Your field is psychology." He knew that I had been a psychology major. Still, he said, I could apply that knowledge in the work of the Bhaktivedanta Institute. I said that I had noticed that when he spoke about scientists, he used words such as nonsense, rascals, bluffers, and cheaters, and often said that we should kick them in the face with boots. So I asked whether we should use such language when we preach to or met with scientists. "No," he replied, "you should speak like a gentleman."
Prabhupada used to say this point, that because I have this saffron robe and I am an old man, people do not take it very seriously. I mean, they will not feel offended so much. But you people, if you say, they will definitely feel offended. So don't try to repeat what the words I'm using. You can be as heavy as me in terms of the mood, but then you cannot use the words which I use. So that is something which Prabhupada specifically pointed out to many of the devotees quite a few times. Yeah. So anyone else wants to take over? Hemnath Prabhu, I think Rajesh Prabhu has just answered you. This is that book by his known as Giriraj Maharaj on the Juhu story. It's titled "I Will Build You a Temple."
Yeah, okay, bro.
Who
Shall I,
else want to
Prabhu?
read? Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Please carry
From
on.
where
While I
should
was
I
in,
start? While I was in Los Angeles, the latest issue of BTG arrived with an article by Vishnunjana. He had just returned to America after spending months sailing down the Ganges, chanting the holy name and stopping at the towns and villages along her banks to chant, distribute prasada, and preach Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada appreciated the article entitled "Someday the tiny soul will want to get out of illusion," and commented because Vishnunjana had done so much chanting, he has been able to write so nicely.
so this
It was said,
especially Vishnu Chandra Maharaj and Tamal Krishna Maharaj, where they joined almost together in the West Coast, and Prabhupada always had a very high regards for Vishnu Chandra Maharaj's kirtans. He could go on for hours and hours and hours. With his blood will be coming out of his hand, still he would play mridanga. So he would put tapes around the broken fingers and the injured fingers, still continue playing. And Prabhupada would often say that he's probably descended directly from the Gandharva Loka. So that's how much Prabhupada enjoyed Vishnu Chandra Maharaj's simple heart. He was an amazing preacher. He would just literally, by his speech, he could make so many hundreds of devotees come. It's unfortunate that we couldn't have much of his association. He left before Prabhupada's departure in kind of some mysterious circumstances. But Prabhupada always had his great appreciation for him. Please continue, Mataji.
it was said on the sixth Goswami, Jana Priyo Karao Niramat Pujito, the gentle and the ruffians.
Mataji, your voice is breaking. I'm not sure what happened, Mataji, but suddenly your voice is breaking.
We do not get signal properly.
Now better, now better. Carry on. Carry on, Mataji. Oh, again, it is breaking. Not sure why it is breaking again. Am I the only one sensing the breaking, or is it breaking for everyone?
It is breaking.
Breaking for everyone, Prabhuji.
Okay, okay. Mataji, then we will see if someone else can take over from you.
May I read, Prabhu?
Yeah, please, Prabhu.
It was said of the six Goswamis, Dhira Dhira Jana Priyo, Priya Karo Nirmata Sarao Pujitao. They were popular both with the gentle and with the ruffians because they were not envious of anyone. Whatever they did, they were all pleasing to everyone. Srila Prabhupada demonstrated the same qualities. He reciprocated with scientists, preachers, managers, and book distributors, even my parents, so perfectly that all were pleased and satisfied. He was gracious with everyone. A few weeks after I left Chicago, my parents flew out to see me in LA, and they came along on a morning walk in Cheviot Hills Park. My mother was very pleased when Prabhupada greeted her, "Oh, Mrs. Stetton, you look so young." At the end of the walk, At the end of the walk,
Prabhupada knew how attention of favorable attention of Mataji. Anyone, of course, for that matter, but specifically, he knew how that because the Western world, especially, they try so much to look young, anyway, so it's a different topic, but let's continue.
At the end of the walk, we came to the parking lot and my father began to eye the Rolls Royce the devotees had arranged for Prabhupada. Humbly, almost diffidently, Prabhupada told him, "My disciple got this for me."
Prabhupada didn't want it, but the disciples wanted it, See, according to the people, he gave different answers to this Rolls Royce thing, You just see how this, after this, I will tell you another incident. Many of you know that. Please continue, Prabhu.
"Oh no, you deserve it," my father responded. "You can come and ride with me," Prabhupada invited him. No, we have our own car," my father said. After we left, I later heard Prabhupada's servant said to him, "Srila Prabhupada, everyone likes you so much." And Prabhupada replied, "Yes, because I like everyone."
This is the secret, how to be liked by everyone. You have to like everyone. Now, this Rolls Royce thing, the reporters also wanted to know why Prabhupada is shunning everything material, but he is driving in Rolls Royce. Then Prabhupada retorted back, he said, "What is this small aluminum or steel thing that you people are giving me? Actually, spiritual master should be taken in a golden car. This is just some what do you call that as that's a
Tin.
throwaway tin item. I don't even care for this, like that you are saying." So the reporters were taken aback by Prabhupada's answer, But here you see, because Giriraj Maharaj's parents were much more humbler, and they might have had some little doubt in their heart, and Prabhupada is talking so much about renunciation. So so that is the where Prabhupada is answering in a more in a more humbler tone, because he knew that we have to drive away this doubt in his heart, but at the same time we should establish the philosophy also. Please continue, Prabhu.
My return to America after 3 years away was such a major event for my family that even my uncle, my father's brother, came out to LA from Chicago, and I arranged for him to meet Prabhupada in his quarters. My uncle was a doctor with high ideals, and he opened his heart to Prabhupada about how disillusioned and disappointed he was with the state of the medical profession. He felt that doctors had become too materialistic and were more interested in money than in the welfare of their patients. As he went on expressing his chagrin, Prabhupada simply listened intently. In the entire half hour of the conversation, Prabhupada didn't say more than a few sentences. He just listened with great sympathy or empathy.
Prabhu, we have to follow up. Thank you. Continue, Prabhu.
And at the end, as we were leaving the room, my uncle returned to me and said, "My God, I have never met anyone like him. I must get a picture of him. I have never seen a face like his."
I mean, it looks like Prabhupada has almost had an idea of how to deal with different people. You can see how Giriraj Maharaj is bringing different facets of Prabhupada's approach to different people, right? To Giriraj Maharaj's father, he deals with in one way. To one of his uncles, he deals with it one way. To the Ratan Parki, he deals with it in one way. It's simply amazing, and definitely it can be nothing more, other than that Krishna is communicating to him from the heart as Paramatma, So it's very important to understand this communication there and how Prabhupada is handling different people differently. That's a real Acharya, real spiritual master. He doesn't deal with everybody in just the same way. Does it according to the time, place, and circumstances, according to the people, their mood, there's so many other, their capacity, everything he has to scan. Yes, Prabhu, please continue.
One afternoon, after dealing with various managerial problems, Prabhupada leaned back on the bolsters of his asana and quoted a verse from Narottam Dasa Thakura. Vishaya Chadiya Kabe Shuddha
Kabe Shuddha,
Dev
Kabe Mana, Kabe Hame, Hamaher above Sri Vrindavan.
When will I give up material sense objects? When will my mind become purified? When will I be able to behold Vrindavan? He said. Of course, it is not Vishaya, material, it is Krishna's service. But still, I wish to be freed. I am hankering for Vrindavan. Eventually, responding to appeals from India for me to return, Prabhupada encouraged me to go back home, back to Bombay. I got the impression that he was telling me that if I went back and served him in Bombay, I would go back to Godhead. And when I was well enough, I returned. In Bombay, my work was now facilitated by Aditya Dasi, a former assistant to a bank vice president in the US, whom in my absence, Tamal Krishna had arranged to be my secretary. I wrote Srila Prabhupada. I'm back in Bombay now, and I'm very glad to be actively engaged in your loving service. Regarding the various points which you entrusted to me before I left Los Angeles, I wish to reply as follows. Regarding the municipal sanctions, we are still waiting for the no objection certificate, NOC, from the police. According to Tamal Kṛṣṇa Goswami, as soon as we get the NOC, we will be able to get the final approval from the municipal corporation. I shall be personally looking into the matter and trying to get it as soon as possible. Meanwhile, after the conveyance was signed and we became the legal owners of the property, one of the tenants vacated his flat in the D block, and Prabhupada finally had a proper place to stay on Hare Krishna land. Tamal Krishna wrote him, one tenant at Hare Krishna land has approached us and desired to move out of the Hare Krishna land. He is willing to move out of his flat if we pay him. This flat we are going to keep for your divine grace to stay in when you come to Bombay, and we are herewith presenting and offering to you our formal and humble invitation to come to Hare Krishna land as soon as you can. You will have a nice accommodation right at the temple in this new flat, which we will decorate and paint and clean very nicely. We are planning to purchase the flat on the 10th of this month, and as soon as we get the flat, I will telegram you. Similarly, if your divine grace would bless us with a telegram of your expected date of arrival, that would be very kind and merciful. Prabhupada replied, I am very gladdened to hear you have secured one flat on our Hare Krishna land. I am planning to arrive in India on or before February 1st. Then I can go to Bombay.
Today is February 1st, huh?
Yes.
Prabhupada arrived today also.
Then I can go to Bombay, say about the second week in March, and together we can go to Mayapur in March. Hope that also comes true, Prabhu.
Sorry, Prabhu?
Hope that also comes true. We will be in Mayapur in March.
Yeah, all of us are making so many plans, you know. But Prabhupada is making plans to distribute Krishna. So if we also have that same mood, then Krishna will help us in the same way. But if we go for any other purpose, then we may have to do all the arrangements and all that. Because Prabhupada was so intent, like how he was so intent on getting the land from Ratnaparki, he was so intent on every single activity that he did, especially in regards to giving Krishna to everyone. You know, in the same mood we carry, then there's no way things will stop for us, you know. So please continue, Prabhu. We'll just go to a logical point and stop. I have to leave also now for another class, but we'll come to a logical point.
Now, by your arrangement, it will be very pleasing for me to stay in our own land at Juhu. In the past, I was a guest while staying in Bombay, but now we have our own place, and this is very enlightening to me. So I will come.
Imagine, imagine how Krishna has brought in. If you just look back, this particular point may not be covered in this book. It's not within the scope. But before Prabhupada started the movement, this is what, 73, 74, around that time. So some 10 years before this, if you see, Prabhupada was going and sitting in the Sumati Morarji's office all day from morning to evening in the bench outside, just to get a ticket to go to America. And how Krishna has transformed the whole situation. He gets a Rolls Royce, he gets Ambarish Prabhu kind of a person as a chauffeur come driver and whatever. Thousands of people following him, so many disciples from all over the world. and many well-wishers and celebrities, well-known public people from India, like Delhi, Bombay, everywhere, following him keenly. Before that, he was just like any other, maybe, they would even call him as a beggar, some sannyasi beggar. But he was not a beggar. He was begging to everybody to give Krishna consciousness to everyone, to make us chant. He was begging us to make us study Bhagavatam. He was begging us. That kind of a beggar he is. Not that he wanted something from us. So it is amazing how, when I was reading that particular thing, now Prabhupada has his own flat. If he wants, he can just purchase a land just like that, kick out another person, Ratnapargi, like just like this. And now you see in that same Juhu temple, people are thronging. The celebrities who are thronged everywhere, like all these Bollywood people, sports people, and everywhere, they are coming like common people in the Juhu temple and taking darshan of Radha Raspberry. So who is the real celebrity here? Right? Raja Ras Bihari are the so-called people who are whatever they are in. Right? Even politicians, the CMs, and they all come in queue and they do arati and everything and go. Maybe little bit of facility may be given, but not to the extent that in other places they are given. That's the beauty of Krishna. That's the beauty of Krishna. That's the beauty of pure devotional service. So we will stop here. Prabhupada arriving on February 16. So this month of February in those days used to be very exciting, because he would sometime be in Hawaii, he would sometime be in New Zealand, Auckland, Wellington, and all these places. So it's simply amazing to hear all these wonderful sections, Gaurav Prabhu, we missed you for most part of the reading today.
No, Prabhu, the last part was amazing. I got the essence. But one thing, Prabhuji, it's exactly 50 years, Prabhu. First.
74 to 2024, right? It's an amazing thing. And Prabhu, within just 3 to 4 years, they built such a magnificent marble temple. They are still having this land just now only. See, simply that is, I don't know, Krishna really worked magic there. And that's why I see that like this book, we have to hear more and more from Prabhupada. How about Prabhupada, I mean, how these magics are working on. Prabhupada himself would not tell this magic. You just say it's just a matter of thing. But we need, just like Krishna himself telling is not as good as devotees telling about Krishna. Same way, Prabhupada himself telling, he may be shy of telling the things, even though sometimes he openly tells it, how these magic is happening. But really, when the other disciples and followers of Prabhupada, when they share their experiences, then the real essence comes out for us. See, this really translates into how Bhagavatam is even more sweeter than Bhagavad Gita, right? Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells about himself. It's definitely the best scripture. But then when you do an impartial comparison between Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, everybody would, especially our ISKCON devotees, would go for Bhagavatam, because it's that much more sweeter, right? When devotees discuss about Krishna. Same way, this book is even more sweeter in that sense compared to Bhagavatam, right? Because it is a person Bhagavata in action, and we are reading about him. We are enjoying, relishing about his action. So book Bhagavata and person Bhagavata, non-different, isn't it? Nityam Bhagavata Sevya.
As soon as the agreement for the land was signed, Prabhupada actually hinted to Giriraj Swami. I wish someone writes about this episode.
Yes. And it took 50 years to complete that, and luckily it has come out. We are all so fortunate that you were born at this time. If you had died 2-3 years before, then you would not have had the great chance to enjoy this great recollection of Prabhupada. Amazing, Prabhus. Thank you so much, Prabhus Mataji, for joining in. I just keep shifting the timing, and you are also flexible. I really have to apologize for that, and also thank you for joining in, sincerely. So we'll stop here. Any final points from anybody before you close? Just one more minute. Your experience, I mean, your feeling of from reading from today's section.
Prabhu, we are just going to the temple when prasadam is being given. That's all I can tell.
That's a metaphorical thing, or actually you are going to the temple?
No, these classes, even when you are moving around, we are just following wherever there is prasadam.
Yeah, this is Mahaprasadam from Prabhupada's pure devotees, right? So disciples. So they are really pouring. How much love. That's the one line makes the complete thing, right? Prabhupada, how is everybody liking you so much? And Prabhupada says, because I like everyone. That's why they are all liking me.
Prabhuji,
Just
I really like that point, where Prabhupada said, okay, you keep searching till the time worship Krishna. I mean, he could
yeah,
argue also and given so much
yeah.
philosophy, but he simply said,
Yeah,
we know
true, very
Krishna.
true, man.
You keep on searching and till the time we can
So this
worship
is
Krishna.
something which Prabhupada is playing a level playing field here, See, we are trying to propose this point that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead from various scriptures. We are quoting him and we are experiencing him and we are doing that. So now you are saying that he cannot be. Just like we are proving to you, you prove to us, then we are ready to worship. So he's not like closed-minded that I will only worship Krishna and all that. Okay, you show someone better than this, then we will be able to accept you. Yes, please, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Pranam, Prabhuji. आवाज आ रही है?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji. One thing I know, observed that in the negotiation, during the negotiation of that with I think Chhagan Lal ji, and this with this
Guru
negotiation
Maharaj
is
is Pakka.
both are different. Both are different.
Yeah.
Means उसको because इसमें 30,000 बोले तो उसमें they agree. Srila Prabhupada agree with straightforward because means he create nuisance then more nuisance than.
Yeah. So Prabhupada knows whom to do what,
Yes.
Yeah.
Dealings with
Dealings,
different persons.
Yeah.
So that way,
so nice, Prabhu. Thank you for that. I think we should stop here, Prabhu's Matajis. Tomorrow I will be traveling, so we won't. Tomorrow, as it is anyway, we don't have a class. Saturday morning, we will try to have a morning session, Krishna willing. Our usual Narmani Vichar session. We'll do that. Okay. So thank you so much once again, and we will stop here. Hare Krishna.